Hello, everyone, and welcome to Why Not with Alex and Ian. I am your host, Alex, and
I'm also the host, Alex.
no,
And I'm
no,
Ian.
but I'm Alex.
And I'm Ian.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he's Ian, I'm Alex.
This is a co-hosting.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
but I'm first.
No.
Okay, whatever.
That's because
And
you're the first
today-
letter of your name
okay,
is,
yeah.
is A. That's you're not
Yes,
special.
we did it alphabetically. Anyways, we're 30 seconds and we haven't even introduced our topic. Now, Ian, what are we talking about
We're
today?
talking about a movie.
What movie is that?
My Neighbor Totoro.
Interesting. You got any tidbits about My Neighbor Totoro?
Yeah, this guy made it, and
Really, who?
yeah, I don't know his fucking
I
name.
think Miyazaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Studio Ghibli. It's a Studio Ghibli film, animated. You probably already know that if you watched it. Ian, do you have anything interesting about this that you want to talk
I
about?
thought it was deeply philosophically stimulating. And
Really?
there were a lot of symbols.
Hmm.
Like the tree. There was a big tree and umbrellas and nature and curiosity and imagination.
All right, well, we'll get to all that as we go through the movie. Now, as the family is moving in, there's a dad and he's got two daughters. There's May and what's the sister's name?
Oh,
It's like Sasuke.
Sasuke. That's
Sasuke. So Sasuke's the older daughter, May's the younger daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're moving into a new house, new neighborhood, new life.
Right. And they meet this kid. They meet a kid. His name is Kanta.
Yeah, and he lives with his granny lady who's taking care of the house for them. And interesting thing that happens.
What?
So they find this bridge, right?
Yeah,
and
they do.
There's just like booze. There's just like a booze bottle in that bridge.
What are you talking about?
No, like they go in and they like there's this bridge and there's just a booze bottle there.
Was there really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me because that just shows that there's a lot of pollution in Japan at that time period. Clearly, and it's just like a thing that's seen a lot. That there's a lot of trash just like in like the rivers and stuff, which I thought was interesting.
The movie definitely does emphasize nature itself and the beauty present in it. So maybe the idea of polluting nature was meant to be a negative thing in this.
Right, I think it's a little subtle thing that they put in to just like represent it. Do you got anything else to say about this little introductory part?
Well, it seemed it opened with the children, May and Sasuke, and it seemed to me as I'm 18 and you're 18.
We're 18, yeah.
It seemed fairly nostalgic, and it kind of seemed innocent and like pure because the children didn't really use logic. They just felt. They used their feelings to do things and to solve problems, and that was kind of sweet.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how like Satsuki would like there's at one point where the dad says, "Oh, I need you guys to help me find the stairs to the attic." So Satsuki goes and runs around the house and like looks in all these places and like will say something, and then May will immediately follow her, look at the same exact place and just say the same exact thing. So it's like you see the little sister, she just like follows her older sister and she wants to be like her older sister. And that's like one of the other motifs that is present throughout the movie.
And as well in our lives, like I remember I have an older brother and I used to do that with him, like just follow him around and eavesdrop while he was playing the Nintendo and playing Pokemon, and he would always yell at me.
Yeah, it really like brings you into like a feeling of like a family like that, and it's like something that everyone experiences. So even if you're not a kid while watching this movie, and it's very clearly centered more towards children to watch it, but if you're an adult watching the movie, you can still like get that enjoyment out of it. And a lot of time, like some people are like parents while watching this movie, so like
it's more of a family movie,
right? They empathize with the father or the mother, who we don't really get to see a lot of because she's sick.
It starts out with them going to see her or wanting to see her,
right?
And
because she's in a hospital quite a ways away.
How far? 4 hours?
Yeah, it was a pretty long walk that Granny said that there is.
So actually, there was a symbol throughout the movie that we mentioned earlier of a tree.
Yeah.
There was this giant tree near the house of the house that they just
Yeah,
moved
it was a type of fruit. Do you remember what kind of
fruit?
fruit it was? Yeah, it was a fruit tree.
Was it?
It was like a cunt fruit tree or something
I
like
have
that.
no. It was just a giant tree, and it was beautiful.
All right,
What about the acorns?
the acorns. Well, what do
There
you
were
think
so
about
many
the acorns?
acorns.
Well, yeah, because I think it was implied that that like the Totoro people, they're just like leaving them all over the place.
The acorns reminded me of when I was in elementary school. I used to just during recess for like 40 minutes or so. I'd just be by myself and collect acorns, and I'm not really sure why.
You
I
just
put them in my
collected
pockets,
acorns?
yeah, and I would
Well,
take them home afterward.
wait, what did you do with them?
I don't remember. I think I just like put them down on like the ground. Yeah, I'm not.
So you just collected acorns.
Yep. I don't know why. Just
That-
did.
well, okay. I mean, sure.
I think that the acorns kind of they are always leading to another thing in the movie. For example, Mei and Satsuki are exploring the house that they just moved into, and they see these acorns all over the place. And there's one of them that falls from the attic, which is totally dark, and they want to find these soot gremlins, which we mentioned.
Yeah, the dad just like casually like is like, oh yeah, there's soup gremlins in this
Yeah.
house.
They apparently they occupy abandoned houses, and so anyway, the two sisters, they go up this attic where the acorn fell because the soot gremlins, I guess, dropped it, and they're looking for these gremlins. And do they find any?
Okay, well this is interesting. So I actually want to talk about this acorn. So when the acorn falls, the two daughters and the father are there, and they're like, where does this acorn come from? It just fell from the sky. And then the dad's like, oh, maybe squirrels left it. And he's like, oh, or it could have been rats. And we don't know if he said rats or bats. Now, the daughters were very clear that they think that squirrels are better than the other two.
They give
Now-
that judgment.
Now, Ian, I need to ask you a question. What is better, squirrels, bats, or rats? Which one would you rather have in your house?
I think that squirrels, if you deep fry them and you skin them, they taste. You can only really eat their legs.
Really?
I'm not sure.
No, I think. I mean,
That sounds right.
like rats don't even have legs, really. So
Do they? Yes, how
they're
would
like
they
little
walk?
tiny legs.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. So I
mean,
wouldn't eat a rat.
There's more meat on the squirrel, but I don't think that's what they were talking about. I don't think they intended on eating either.
Yeah.
Any of these.
They mostly thought they were cute, as children they are. There was also with the acorns to represent this mystery that's there that like invokes your curiosity. There was also music that was subtle yet there were no words to it. It was just instrumental, and I thought that also helped with the mystery aspect of the children like being genuinely surprised to see these things and to be curious of something and then going to actually find out what it is, like pursuing things, and the music definitely aided in that process.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the music in this movie, especially like when they were growing that tree and their like fever dream that they were having. That like it just really invoked the feeling
You
out
have
of
to
me.
address what
Okay,
this is.
well, I mean, there was a part like I'm talking about the part where the girls are asleep and then they wake up and they see the Totoro is just like chilling outside by the garden
is
of
Totoro?
acorns. What do you mean? What is
What
Totoro?
is Totoro?
Totoro is this thing that May found in the.
What does it look like?
Are you quizzing me?
No, because we haven't mentioned what Totoro
Well, I
is.
think most people have watched if they're listening to this. I mean, yeah, I guess they might not have watched it, but I feel like most people have watched the movie if they're listening to a review of like a recap review of the movie.
Your assumptions are way out there. And
Okay, well, if you don't know, Totoro's this like rabbit-looking thing. There's a big one that's brown. There's
it's giant.
there's a little one that's like blue, and then there's this one that's clear like a ghost. And the ghost thing's like
You know how May goes exploring one day while Satsuki's at elementary school,
yeah.
and she goes into the big tree that's there that we mentioned earlier, and there's this little really cool kind of viney walkway that's perfect for her size. She's a little girl, so it's very small. And she goes and she falls and she goes into the lair of Totoro, this giant cat thing. He's not really a cat.
We don't even know if his name is Totoro, like, because May was just like, oh, that breathing that you're doing, that clearly means that your name is Totoro. This guy cannot talk.
He was snoring.
He wasn't. No, he was awake by then.
Oh yeah,
because remember, like,
fair.
he was opening his mouth and then May did the same thing.
I was surprised by that. Oh, wow.
You have to cut that out.
Yeah. I was surprised by May not being scared at all of Totoro's like teeth and growling and yelling. Like if I were a child, I would have probably been scared of that.
I mean, this is something that is like prominent throughout the whole like movie, is that May wants to show that she's not afraid of things. Like
of anything.
The only time that she ever cries is towards the end of the movie when she gets lost trying to find her mom because she runs away, and that's the only time we ever see her cry. Like she falls on her face like about 10 times throughout the movie, and one of the times she like even says, "Hey, I didn't cry. That's pretty good, right?"
Yeah,
so, like,
I didn't cry.
And then she always says that she's not scared of things. So like she clearly wants to like show her family that she's not afraid.
I think as well her sister. I think she really thinks that her sister is really cool. In that, well, first of all, she goes to school, and at one point May does go to school with Satsuki. Well, she doesn't go immediately while Satsuki goes to school, but she's crying.
Well, she's not crying. She's just visibly upset. Like,
yeah, she you're right. She was going to cry. She was going to do something if she didn't get to stay with Satsuki. And
right, 'cause if she was crying, that would have devalued the very emotional scene at the end where she's by herself and alone and scared, and then she finally breaks down and starts crying.
What was strange was all of the students in the class just loved May. Like they were paying so much attention to her.
Those boys behind them, they thought that she was pretty funny. They were laughing it up.
Her drawings of this cat bus that she saw. They saw the cat bus.
Yeah.
There's this bus that looks like a cat. That's
it's what Totoro uses to get around.
Yeah,
if he wants
go to the grocery store.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Gotta get some pain medication, get on the cat bus, bam.
I thought it was weird how the cat bus, its door, it sealed up entirely. It just became the cat's skin again.
Yeah.
But then it like opened up and there was like a sound effect for it, like woo, kind of like that. And it was just strange that this cat had the capacity. Like it wasn't strange at all that the cat had like a compartment inside of it where people could sit.
Where is this cat? Like where does it eat? Like so like.
Yeah, good point. Does he get paid for driving everyone everywhere?
They didn't pay him.
They didn't.
We didn't see. Maybe Totoro gave him some acorns.
Right. He did give May and Satsuki acorns once.
Yeah, so maybe that's what Totoro. Maybe acorns are like currency, right?
Right.
So,
I think that it's also just delicious. Have you ever had roasted acorns?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I don't think they're edible.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise. I think that I saw an episode of like one of Bear Grylls' show, and he might have boiled acorns, but you definitely can't eat them raw. That's for sure.
Boiled?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you roast them?
Or maybe I don't know, dude.
All right. Anyway, there were constantly acorns in the movie, but there was also umbrellas, and it was strange. There was a scene where May and Satsuki are waiting for their father, who's a professor, I think in archaeology.
He was an archaeologist. Yeah,
and he's trying to get home, and he misses his bus, and Satsuki and specifically May wants to wait for her father to come to the bus stop.
Yeah, this is the only time that we see them do this, but they probably do this quite often.
And it probably doesn't end up that way usually.
In the movie, they say that they want to give their father the umbrella, so it might have just been like a one-off thing. But clearly they knew when his bus came to the bus stop.
And it starts...
They knew where the bus stop was.
At one point it starts just... There's a torrential downpour. And out of nowhere... Totoro is just standing by the bus stop next to the two girls, and Totoro's like getting all wet because it's raining, and he doesn't have an umbrella. I don't think he's ever heard of an umbrella.
He had a little leaf on his head.
He did. You're right. It was a very cool scene of, if you can imagine it, you're standing on the road and you're looking at a stop sign, a yellow stop sign, and like a bus sign really. It's like a pole, and then there's the two sisters, and then there's Totoro, and they're all looking at you, and so what happens is not May, Satsuki gives Totoro
Right, yeah.
because Mei is sleeping because it's late and she's a child.
And this is like one of the most famous scenes from this movie. Like I hadn't seen My Neighbor Totoro before watching it for this recap review, and I had seen this picture multiple times on the internet. So this is like the classic scene from the movie.
And so Totoro grabs the umbrella and he's all happy that he now isn't getting wet. And what does he do? He stomps on the ground.
Well, because like droplets from the trees start hitting the umbrella, and he thinks this is like the greatest thing in the world. Like Totoro loves this, so he just like starts jumping up and down to get like all the droplets to come down from the trees, and then they just like come pouring down.
And he's smiling, and
Yeah.
everybody else is smiling as well. I think it's interesting how what's the author? Who's the director's name?
Miyazaki.
Miyazaki. He gives like ordinary things like an umbrella and an acorn, and he kind of gives a spin to them. Like you don't usually think about how weird an umbrella is. Like we're so used to it. It conforms to our hand. We just raise it above our head to stop the rain. But yet it was still something that was so interesting to Totoro. It's kind of like the curiosity of the children and Totoro are still there, and people are trying, like, people don't have that as much, I think, nowadays. Like adults, they kind of lose that, like what we call childish curiosity.
Yeah, I think that is like a clear thing that they're trying, that he, like the Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki were trying to represent throughout this movie, and it's seen a lot in the way that the older characters speak of like the ghosts and like they mentioned goblin, or what are they called?
Gremlins.
Gremlins.
Soot
Yeah.
gremlins. They act as though these really strange things like ghosts and soot gremlins are haunted houses, as though they're not that weird.
Yeah, like the mom and dad are all like, "Oh man, I've always wanted to live in a haunted house," and the dad always talks about like ghosts and stuff. And one of the quotes I thought was very interesting is that the grandma, when they first like talked to her about the suit gremlins, she's like, "Oh, I used to see those as a kid." So I think that like maybe he's trying to like show that as you get older, like you start to lose this like innocence and curiosity.
I think it's interesting how at one point the Totoro well, actually Mei and Satsuki plant a bunch of acorns in their backyard, and they want the acorns to grow, and it doesn't grow, and Mei is just sitting out there for eons, and it's really weird because she's just sitting out there and she's a child and she has to sleep.
Like she doesn't. She does it like when Satsuki's at school. It's not like she's just doing it like all day for no reason.
They portrayed it as that. I mean, I understand like that's really unrealistic, but okay, I mean this movie's pretty.
It's not like she's doing it all night, just like sitting out there. She very clearly went to bed.
That would be funny though. So anyway, at this the father he's studying in his study, and while this is happening, these trees, with the help of Totoro, are finally growing, and they're growing exponentially.
Yeah, this is like ridiculous how like large these trees grow, and the guy, he's just sitting there. Like there's a couple
just
like
doesn't notice a thing.
There's a couple frames where like you can see the trees growing, and then like in the corner of the screen you just see the dad in his study, and then
it's interesting. Miyazaki really put like a lot of the movie just portrays the beauty of nature, and at this point, it's interesting that as a professor, the father he's supposed to study the nature of some subject like archaeology, yet he's oblivious to nature itself and the beauty present just that we see all the time, and I think that speaks to everyone. Like everything that we see all the time is so beautiful. We just have to stop to notice it. And these children just automatically do that. Like naturally they do that. I mean, I get it naturally.
Yeah, like it was interesting though, because like during that scene there is a point where the father like seems to look straight at them, smiles, and then just like looks back at his work. So it's like there are clearly parts of this where the stuff that Totoro does, like those trees that grew up in the morning, they're just like little plants. They're not like, fully grown trees anymore.
No, they're just sprouts.
Right.
Which is weird because was it a dream? Was it real? Did Totoro reverse these giant trees that grew? I mean, it seems as though that's what happened.
So it's like it makes even the watcher unsure whether or not like Totoro and like all these like the kappas, whether or not they're actually real things.
Or
Because
just their imaginations.
right, it's only until at the very end of the movie when Satsuki gets on the cat bus and then finds her sister that it's like, oh well, I guess it has to be real, right?
And actually, I thought it was weird. May was some far distance away from her home, and she was crying, and she was sitting near these monks with their hands in these positions as though they were praying or just meditating or something. And it was strange because when you're thinking of that, you're thinking of, well, for me at least, of being in the present and kind of experiencing the world. And if you think about it, I think May was doing that, but she was so taken in by the idea of her mother being ill and dying that she was devastated, and that to her was being here in the present.
All right, I got a big question for you, Ian.
What?
So
What, Alex? What do you
we
want?
see the father. His hair is black.
Okay,
We see the mother. What color is her hair?
black.
May has brown hair.
Yes, but May does have these kind of, what are they called? Bangs in the front of her, like in the center of her forehead. At the
Yeah.
top center of her forehead, she has these bangs, like kind of like a fan extended.
Yeah.
And so does her mother.
Well, I feel like you can cut your hair to look like pretty much anything.
I mean, that's true. I mean,
I'm just kind of confused at how and I suppose that for a lot of people their hair is lighter as a child. Like
it could have been
a lot
recessive.
a lot of people are blonde, right? And then like as they get older, their hair darkens. I just thought it was very interesting that her hair was like completely different color from both of her parents. And you usually don't see that in movies like this.
Do you think it was strange that Satsuki was so happy that she was getting this approval and attention from her mother, and that she really wanted? I felt like she really wanted to be her mother at one point. She said her mother. She was in the hospital, and Satsuki's hair was being groomed by her mother, and she says, or her mother says, "Wow, when I was a child, I used to have the same hair as you." And Satsuki like grins, and she's so happy that she has some connection with her mother.
Yeah, and then May was clearly like jealous of it when that was happening.
And that again, that connects back to us, and not specifically me or Alex, but to children and to adults as like retrospectively thinking about what it was like to be a child. I think that this movie really does that. It makes us think about the past and nostalgic things.
Yeah, and like it was also interesting when I was watching it because while the mother's like, "Oh, Satsuki, your hair is just like mine as a child," her hair looks a lot like the father's hair.
Yeah, it's kind of short and to the side.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting that it not only did it resemble her mother's hair as a child, but also resembles her father's current like,
I guess that
hairstyle.
Yeah. How does it end?
What do you mean? How does
the movie end?
We're gonna go to the movie end now?
Yeah.
Well, you tell me, and you seem very interested in it.
Oh, so so they hear that the mother is sick again, and this is why May runs to see her mother and gets lost, and the father, he goes to visit his wife, their mother, and she's saying, "I only have a cold," and
right, because
fine.
before this, they got a call from the hospital. The mother was supposed to come home for a weekend, which is really big for them because the mother's been sick, and turns out that she hasn't improved to the point where the doctor thinks that she can come home. So May gets really upset and runs away to go to the hospital because she feels like she needs to go see her mother, and she's really upset about this.
Actually, I think what really cemented that Totoro and the cat bus weren't just figments of the children's imagination was the end when when May and Satsuki get on board the cat bus, and I don't think Totoro was there. I think it was just the cat bus.
Yeah, it was just the cat bus. Totoro came and then called the cat bus.
Yeah, but
he didn't go with them.
I wonder why. Even though that's weird. Anyway, they're sitting on on a tree, on a branch, near the hospital. They get to see from the window of their mother's room, her father and their father and their mother.
Yeah, this is very weird. Like they drop the corn off.
We haven't mentioned the corn.
Yeah, there's like it's not like really that big of a deal, but May had some corn.
Well, I think that it kind of showed that Satsuki and Mei cared about their mother.
Yeah, it was just to like show to them that they were there. But it was weird that Satsuki and Mei didn't like actually go and say hi to their parents. They just kind of like left the corn and went home.
And they engraved in the corn some words. I think it said something like something about their mother. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, Ian, this is not good. You just throw this stuff out here, and you don't even have any.
We don't have to.
You're just like, oh, look, it has this writing, and then.
Yeah, but regardless, it was sweet. Like,
yeah,
the message was essentially just, "We love you," and I think that itself was a good ending.
Yeah. All right. We've been avoiding something.
What?
So we talked a little bit about the boy that they met.
Oh yeah.
So I think we should probably address Kanta. Kanta, he's one of the bigger characters.
He's a strange story.
Kid. Yeah, for like the majority of the movie, he goes and doesn't like actually talk.
Yeah, just these gestures.
I think it just shows that he's shy. Now,
but also he's polite and he has manners. Like at one point, it's raining and Mei and Satsuki don't have an umbrella, and so Kanta just stops and sees that they're trying to get home, and he gestures out to them with the umbrella, and they don't, and Satsuki and Mei don't know what to do, and so he just drops the umbrella and runs home.
Well, not only does he do like at first he like starts like doing his grunting thing and like trying to get them to grab it, and then when they don't take it, he just like drops and runs away. So like, I guess we gotta have it now. So that was it. Why didn't they bring their umbrella with them to school?
I don't. Maybe they didn't. Oh wait, if they didn't expect it to rain, why did
Kanta's mother clearly like knew it was gonna rain because she gave the umbrella to. She like scolded him for not like forgetting his umbrella.
And then she probably felt bad when she learned that he gave it to them. He gave the umbrella to Satsuki and Mei. And
not only did he give the umbrella to Satsuki and Mei then gave their father's umbrella away to Totoro, and they never got that umbrella back.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. So something I thought interesting about Kanta is that he sounds a lot like Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
You think so?
Yeah. This is in the English dub of the movie. I don't think that it's the same in the Japanese version. So I'm gonna look this up real quick. Ian, why don't you tell us more about him?
About Kanta?
Yeah, more about Kanta.
I mean, he wears a captain's hat, and he works on the farm, and I think the first scene of when the children first enter this village, they enter the village and Kanta's there, and he delivers this cake to the family to the housekeeper of the house that Mei, Satsuki, and their father are moving into, and at one point Satsuki mentions how delicious the cake is. I bet it was, but also he does the same thing. He grunts and he shoves the cake in front of Satsuki, and she's expected to take it, and then he runs away. But I thought that it was not because of him just being shy, but because he didn't want to step into a haunted house. Because he does mention at one point, I think the first thing he says, it might be, your house is haunted, or something to that effect.
Really?
Yes. Which is strange. I have seen the movie before, and I don't remember him ever saying anything. I guess my memory was a bit distorted.
All right. Well, I don't think he actually voiced Aang, but I think it was.
Oh, you looked it up?
Yeah, I looked it up on.
Oh, the voice actor.
Yeah. So, I think that something else that's interesting about this movie is where did that top come from, Ian?
What top?
There's a point in the movie.
Oh, Totoro's top.
Yeah.
Totoro has like a totem, like a token, like a little. What's the word?
Like
Knick-knack.
they're on the tree. Totoro just like his top comes out of nowhere.
Like Beyblade.
Yeah, he Beyblades. No, it's well, Beyblades are based off like the traditional fighting top. So he's basically like he gets out this top, he like spins it out, he lets it rip, and
He lets it rip.
then he jumps on this top. But this top, he couldn't have possibly like had it. He wasn't carrying. This guy doesn't have pockets.
Yeah, but he's magic.
This top was huge.
There's a cat that's a bus, Alex. A cat bus.
Oh,
Magic exists in this world.
Okay, well, and then he starts flying on the top.
No, they all do.
That
It's
includes
probably
him.
more like levitating. I don't think it was flying.
Who's this Kenneth Hartman guy?
I don't know. Oh, Kanta was voiced by many different people?
Well, yeah, like, see, I'm because usually they have like one English voice actor and then like the Japanese one. They don't have portraits for either of the Japanese people. Apparently, he was voiced by Paul Butcher in the English dub, but then there's like also a Kenneth Hartman.
No idea who that is.
So yeah, looks like he has one credit, which is this. So I don't think that he's actually the person that acted. It's probably Paul Butcher. He's got the check.
He's got the
Yeah, I think it's probably him. So don't think it was the same person that voiced Aang. In the Japanese version, he's apparently voiced by Toshiyuki Amagasa. That might not be true. Sometimes they don't have like full information on stuff, especially like movies like this. His only credit is apparently Kanta, so it might not be the right one.
I don't think it was Aang from Avatar.
Yeah, my ear for voice actors has put me in the wrong spot now. Ian, what else do you want to talk about this movie?
I think that nothing.
You don't want to talk. There's nothing more in this movie that you want to talk about. You don't want to talk about the mom at all.
It was actually fairly short. I think it was like an hour and 30 minutes, which is it might
hour
be,
and 20 minutes.
I remember Miyazaki has another film, Spirited Away, which is I think a lot more popular than My Neighbor Totoro, which I've seen.
I think Spirited Away has pushed a little bit further into the mainstream of the United States, but Totoro. I look at Spirited Away was like the top grossing movie in Japan for
Really?
I'm pretty sure until Your Name came out this year,
Okay.
which ended up being a more popular movie. I'm pretty sure Spirited Away was the top grossing movie.
That,
so
Your Name really was hyped up a lot. I mean, I think it was a good movie. It seemed fairly, what's the word, shonen, like for teenagers.
Yeah.
Less than for like a family movie like My Neighbor Totoro.
Have you seen Your Name?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because it's not shonen, but it's more for teenagers.
I don't know. The movie.
Well,
Was all teenagers.
shonen is a genre for like young boys in Japan, not.
All right, fair.
So I found this Paul Butcher guy on IMDb now. He apparently is an actor now.
Who's
so
Paul Butcher? Wait, who's
Paul?
Paul
He's the
Butcher?
voice of Kanta.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
oh my, oh my.
Oh wait, what?
He appeared on Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ian.
That's really weird.
But it appears he was just additional voices. So he was not the character of Aang, but he did show up in Avatar, and I think I got it because one of the episodes of Headband, there's a kid that definitely sounds a lot like him.
No, you just got lucky.
No, I mean
lucky.
it's the wrong character, Ian. So I'm not claiming that I
mean, you were still right about
ear,
Avatar.
but I think that's like where I got the idea from. That I heard it.
Mm.
Oh wow. He was in Charlotte's Web 2, Wilbur's Great Adventure. I didn't know there was a Charlotte's Web 2. Did you know about that? Ian?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he was a voice actor in like some of the Ice Age movies. Yeah, he was in Zoe. Oh wow, Ian.
He was
Dustin Brooks in Zoe 101.
I don't know who Dustin Brooks is.
Dustin is the younger brother of Zoe.
No way.
Yeah,
He's very
I
important.
used to watch this show all the time. Okay, so this has been My Neighbor Totoro. Ian.
What?
On our current movie rankings of all the movies that we have watched, where would you place My Neighbor Totoro?
Of all the movies?
Yeah, all the movies that we have reviewed so far.
I mean, this is the first movie. So I'd probably give it an 8.5 or an 8.75.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, I give it about an 8. I definitely think that
Well, why?
it's not Miyazaki's best film. I
It's
don't
up
know.
there.
It just there are parts of it that I felt that dragged a little bit. Like
There
I
wasn't
don't know.
really. I mean, there was a climax to it, the finding out that the mother is sick, but at the same time, it wasn't that big. I think the whole movie was. The best scenes were really just some still shots. Like, for example, when it's raining and they're all waiting, when Satsuki and Mei are waiting for their father and Totoro's there. And the other scene where the Mei and Satsuki are sitting on the tree watching their parents have a discussion about the mother's health. And I think that those two scenes, even though they weren't very major, they were probably just minor parts. They were still aesthetically very, very pleasing.
I think that the scene that hit me the most was when they were growing the trees with Totoro and that weird fever dream that they had.
Fever dream.
I think what really affected me the most out of this whole movie, not even like really the plot of it at all. I think it was more just the music itself. Like
The music
had more
was-
of an impact on me than the actual movie itself. Yeah, it just I don't. It's not the typical movie that I like watching. Like my favorite movie is Kill Bill, so this is clearly not in the same vein as that. But I still do think that it's a very well done movie, and I can appreciate it enough that I give it like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I'm not like doing this like inflated scaling where like an 8 out of 10 is really like barely above average, because like you know how they're like 7 out of 10. That it's just because a lot of people like feel like it's weird, like they go from a scale of 5 to 10. Like 5, if you get a 5 on like a lot of scaling, that's just like a terrible.
Yeah, a terrible movie.
But on our scale, that's about average. So
8.7. Oh,
no,
for me,
5 is like average.
Oh, 5 is average.
Yeah,
I
so-
think that this movie was actually a good
yeah. So
movie.
giving it an 8, it's 3 points. It's well above average.
I agree. With that said, I think that we can close up this podcast.
If you have any questions for us, you can contact us at whynotalexian@gmail.com. It's all lowercase. It's just why not Alex.
You can
Ian.
find it in the description.
Yeah, we'll also have it in the description. I'm just like if you listen to the podcast.
If you're listening to it.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes people listen to the podcast and they don't like want to look in the description, so that way it gets it in their head, Ian.
All right, and they have some reason to contact us, telling us something about
Well,
our expert
Ian,
analysis.
they might have comments about this episode of the podcast. They want to tell us something, like they might have more insight on something that we were talking about.
If they have
and-
an opinion about the
Right,
about the
and also they
movie.
might have an opinion on the next movie that we are covering.
Oh, like what movie
So
they
they
want us
can
to
email
cover.
ahead. No, well, Ian, what is we are. You kind of splooged a little bit earlier about what movie we're going to cover next, but Ian mentioned earlier in the podcast about Spirited Away. That will be our next movie that we are covering. So if you have any emails about that, some stuff that you want us to talk about in our next
Videos.
review, you feel free to
Well,
email
not videos,
us.
podcasts. There's
Yeah,
no,
they're podcasts. Well, I mean, it's posted on YouTube as well, so
yeah. So
some
technically-
people are watching it in video format.
That's true.
So yeah, if you have any questions about Spirited Away that you want us to talk about, or you have any comments about it that you want us to just talk, we will read any email that we get.
Especially if it has something related to nachos. I think nachos are delicious, and they have everything to do with Spirited Away. I think that please send us emails about nachos.
And is that our hashtag?
Hashtag nachos.
No, why not nachos?
Okay, yeah, that works.
Yeah. So if you have anything you want to tweet at us, tweet at why not nachos. And I think that'll be the podcast.
Wrap it
Thanks
up.
for listening.
Thank you.
If you somehow got this far.
If you wanna, if you liked our video and liked our podcast, and especially liked our voices, You can click subscribe or like our video. That it helps us, and
Mm.
it'll probably help you because if you like our videos, we'll be able to make more.
Yep. See you next time.